I'm sorry.
Hope to get Jakob back on Thursday.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd get back tonight, but that was not the case. So hoping for Thursday, but I'm not positive. I don't know.
Greg, I had a question.
Sure.
You've, over the years, always had defenses that did a great job defending without fouling. Looks like this year is another one of those teams as far as relative to the rest of the league. Like, how do you preach that, whether you have a veteran roster or in this year's case, a lot of young guys?
Well, I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. You know, we talk about it. And, you know, whenever we get a chance to practice or a portion of each shoot-around, we'll usually concentrate on defense. So they understand that balance between staying aggressive but not fouling, mostly not fouling in situations where you can use some judgment. People are trying to take difficult shots and you bail them out. Shot clocks are winding down and make somebody a driver instead of giving up a three, so you don't have to try to block the shot. Just use your sense of the game to make better decisions in that regard. Don't make retaliatory fouls just because you got burned at one end. You're not going to come down on the other end and do whatever. Stick with what the team is doing. So all those things add up mentally to not foul in situations that you could have easily avoided it. And I think it just comes through repetition and practice. And over the years, it's been something we do. It hasn't necessarily translated into us getting a lot of wins so far, but we're on the right track.
Coach, with all that you've accomplished from where I sit, what continues to excite you about coaching? What motivates you? I'm assuming that might change from team to team, but like for this year, what was the most exciting part for you as a coach?
Is there an inference there that I've been doing this a long time and you're asking me because I'm old? Is that sort of a, yeah, that's a, I should take offense to that, I think. I'm not sure.
No offense intended.
I know. You know, it always comes down to the competitive part and the teaching part, especially with this group that I have this year. Obviously, you know, very, very young team, and we're basically starting anew, and so I want them to have a good start in developing their games, not just individually, but, you know, trying to remember what real mental toughness is, what wins games, how you lose games, what are the most important factors, what you owe to your teammates, and how to be responsible to each other in both competitiveness and execution. So I think the teaching part is probably, you feel necessary. You know, I never said a word to Timmy and Manu and Tony. I didn't coach those guys. I just went to the games. I watched. They went and won. I enjoyed it, that kind of thing. These guys need more, and that makes it more fun for our staff in that sense. So, and then when the ball goes up, we're all the same. We're all sickos. You know, the competitiveness kicks in, and you're enjoying that part of it.
Pop, Ty Lue is among several coaches that has expressed gratitude for your support and advice over the years. I was wondering, from your vantage point, why has it been so important for you to be a resource and an ally for other coaches?
Well, I think because I've been so fortunate. To this day, I really don't know what I'm doing here, to be honest with you. I'm a Division III coach at heart. I was happy as a pig in, you know what, doing it, and all of a sudden I ended up here. I know that sounds a little bit, it's a long story in between, but I think I owe a lot back to other people who are trying to make their way and either give advice or be there to be a sounding board, you know, that type of thing. And I enjoy that because I think I owe that.
Keldon talked this morning about Chip's impact on his mechanics. What has stood out through the years about what he's been able to do with so many?
Well, Chip's a forever, long-time shooting coach who's, worked with a lot of people, including people like Steve Kerr and Grant Hill, and the list goes on and on and on. He's just a special guy. He's a teacher that people enjoy learning from because he is intelligent, quirky, weird, thoughtful, incisive, and he really cares about them all improving. And he doesn't need credit or anything like that. He does it for the love of the sport. So he's been, very special to me and to our program, for a very long time. And, Keldon's his newest challenge, to try to get him straight.
You've been able to follow DeMar, what he did over the weekend? And
Oh, sure. Yeah, we texted back and forth and everything. Yeah, kept in touch. He's a great guy.
Pop, Nick Batum here with the Clippers has said that Boris Diaw meant a lot to him, and he's really working on modeling his game after him, especially with all that he's being asked to do here. Do you see any of Boris in what he's been doing, and how, what a great guy is he, or how important is it to have a guy like Boris pass on that insight?
Yeah, I mean, Boris has been a teammate favorite for every team that he's been on, as most of us know. But Nicholas, he learned from him on how to play the game, really. Nicholas is more athletically gifted. Boris was not as athletic. I was going to make a joke, but I won't do it. I love him too much. But he knew that he wasn't going to jump the highest or run the fastest. And he wasn't really interested in doing any of that. But he knew what was going on the court. Spatial relationships and being a great teammate in the sense of creating situations where he'd find other people. A great assist man. Didn't really care that much about scoring, but when he needed to, he would engage and do that sort of thing. But Nicholas has been privy to seeing him play, playing with him, and hearing his comments on what he thinks is important in the game. So Nicholas has done a good job of learning that over the years.
Coach, Ty has been, for the most part through his career, been able to bring the most out of his rosters and teams, no matter who's been on it, veterans or young guys. What is it about him in his maybe personality or the way he coaches that is able to bring the best out of each team that he coaches? Well,
you sort of just said it in a way. He knows the game. He knows his O's and X's. Everybody knows their O's and X's. That's really a small part of being successful with a team and making sure that they're ready to compete at the highest levels. But his relationships with players, his ability to care about them, to let them flourish in a certain environment, and it's genuine. There's no fake there. He doesn't purport to be something he's not. He really enjoys the people he's around, and that kind of a personality goes a long way with players. So they want to hear from him. They want to listen to him, and that's a huge trait that he has that helps him a great deal.
With regards to the psychological side of the game, teams maybe having lost 5 in a row coming into a game, or having won 5 in a row coming into a game, is that something that's discussed among teams at all? Just psychological, not letting your guard down or stuff like that.
Coaches always say the right things. If you've won a whole bunch, you say, you better keep it up, that kind of thing. And if you've lost a bunch, don't get down, come on now, keep the faith, all that kind of, that's all, bullshit. We all say those things. But players are grown, a lot of them got families and kids, and it's their job. They come to work, and if they've lost or won, it doesn't matter, they're gonna go play. That's just the way it is. We talk about it and worry about it more than the players do. And that's a good thing, because they're more ready to play the next one probably than we are psychologically. We're always thinking about all kinds of different things that could go wrong, but they just go play.
Coach, psychologically, speak about the psychological side of things. Can there be too much of a focus though on like for instance, like watching film after a loss? Can you almost get too deep into the film at times and not kind of see the whole picture?
Oh, sure. I mean, that's in any walk of life, right? You can become too myopic and, forget about the big picture, be worrying about things that aren't really that important and shouldn't be prioritized the way you have. But that moderation is important because with the schedules, with all the games and everything and limited practices, you've got to use film to a certain degree. But if you overdo it, you'll lose them. And showing film at both ends is really important as far as positive and negative. You can't just beat guys down because there are mistakes in every game. It's a game of mistakes. If there were no mistakes, it'd be a little bit boring in a way. But there's no way to play a perfect game. So to just point out mistakes, unless they're principles, showing film that relays the principles that you're trying to get across, whether it's a certain defense or a rotation, and everybody's got to understand what you're doing, or a certain kind of press, or how you're trying to move in the offense. But individual mistakes, they're not really that important, except if the same mistakes are made over and over again by the same person. Maybe an individual film for those guys is more important. But to show them the positives, this is the way it should look. This was a great double team. This was a great whatever. That goes a long way with players also. So I think a little bit of both is probably important. And then that's another part of coaching. We all have to know who we're talking to when we do things individually with guys. Some are more sensitive than others that can handle criticism and welcome it. Other people, get defensive and can't handle it. So you have to know who you're dealing with. Anybody else? Any coaching questions, Why the hell didn't you call timeout, or something like that?
I'm not allowed to ask you questions.
All right, have a good night.
Thanks, Coach.